Hey, what's going on, everybody? Showtime. So y'all know I'm out of town, so I can't really go too hard in the paint. So I gotta use my inside voice. So I'm at the hotel. I don't want to, freak nobody out. But tonight I want to talk about break down my 15. I mean, I have a lot of different, things that really stand out over the years that I've done. But tonight I want to talk to you about 15 shows that series, I should say, and books that I've done over the years at the foundation of the things that we've been talking about. Primarily is, I'm going to use the word, again, spiritual insight, spiritual intelligence, this ability to be aware, singleness of mind. This is the science and metaphysics behind what I call spirit science. We're talking about these 15 mysteries that allows you to establish what I call total awareness or perception. The ability to perceive, the ability to over and understand how frequencies, waves, and verbs and vibrations work. So I sent a copy of the 15 of 30 plus series that I've done back in the day. For the old members, you probably should have this stuff from like 2019, 2020. Tonight's sale message is primarily for a lot of the new members, as well as some of the old members that may have, forgotten that you are begotten. So we want to jump right in and go through these 15 steps, 15 keys, 15 frequencies, 15 waves, 15 verbs, 15 vibrations, if you will, that allows you to really express, expose, and expand yourself. So, again, very important that you over and understand that what we're talking about tonight is the mysteries behind over and understanding everything that we've been talking about, especially the process of operating in what I call extreme spiritual confidence. This makes you immovable. This allows you to do what I call confidence jumping. Out of everything that I've learned over the years, the thing that stands out the most is, number one, how to exit time. So each one of these are series that I've done over the years, and I went back through some of the series that, in addition to the ones that's already included inside of this program, but I looked at some of the things that I've done that really changed my life. The biggest thing that changed my life, one of the biggest things, these are 15. Number one, and again, these are all series that I've done, and each one, when I did them, were anywhere from, $100 up to $1,000. I just put it, the estimated price tag is $1,500. If we bought each one of these separately, because I sell them on average about $100, making it available for the next 2 days for $150. So for $150, you get all 15 of these books and audio series that comes with the workbook. The first one is called How to Exit Time. So in this series, How to Exit Time, we talked about what we talk about every night. And that is, when you immerse your brain in your desire for fulfilled, you start having fun. That means you get out of time. That means you really honestly have a problem or you have difficulty associating with the situation. Honestly. You are really suffering from delusions of grandeur. Honestly. It's an honest, I'm going to use the word mistake because it's a delusion, but you have to be delusional to not believe reality. So when your bank account says there's nothing in it, and you say that there is something in it, well, what people call that, they call that delusion. They call that you're living in non-reality. So all my family members, all my friends, they always told me, even now, I still get that. I still get that, bruh, you're not living in reality. Like, I don't know if that's a good idea. So I've always taken risks. So I'm here in Dallas, and I was talking with my daughter. Just came back from eating dinner with my daughter. And we are plotting She just had a new baby. She has had 3, now we're down to 2 buildings. And just motherhood and life and just balancing everything with 3 kids, young babies, husband, everything that she has going on, talking about fun. The only way to get out of time is when you are so in line with your God-given design that you start to operate in your shine. So when you operate in your shine, that is what gets you out of time. Your shine is when you go to the second book. Time only exists for people who are not operating in their shine. So these 15 books, again, $150 for all 15, and it's just for the next for today and tomorrow, for the next 2 days. Because again, this is just for people who want to go deeper into what we're going to be talking about, which is called metacognition. We'll break that down in a second. Book number 2 is called Spiritualized is Spiritualized. So when you get out of time, something happens. Now you notice what I was talking to my wife about as we were driving up here to Dallas. The reason I like driving on these trips because, number one, when you're driving in the car, it's interesting. Turn off the radio and you have to talk. Get off the electronics and stuff. The kids be in the background, doing their thing. But me and the wife we get to talk. So during the conversations, I'm able to really talk to my wife, and I'm able to provide her with facts, and that really challenges her and forces her to think. So we were talking about what is called, the Sinai Bible. And we were talking about in that Bible, it says something totally different than what we have in the King James Bible. In that Bible, there's no mention that Jesus Christ was crucified. In that Bible, Jesus was married and he had kids. It talked about his siblings and his family. It talked about the trips that he went to Egypt, the mystery schools in India. It talks about all of the missing years that no Christian that I've ever met knows. So talking about things like that, it exposes that spiritualized is spiritualized. You are spiritualized. You have embraced spiritualized. So that's an entire series. That series alone is, when I did that, well, it was either $4.99 or $500 or $500, $1,000. So you were able to pick up that series along with series number 1, which is How to Exit Time. What this does is this breaks the yoke, the bondage, because you can't get out of Groundhog's Day. Now, it's interesting because a lot of the stuff when I met my wife and where she are now, we wouldn't be here in Dallas right now with my old wife because she couldn't miss, church service on Sunday. Because if you guys remember, especially my old members, because she associated church and going and tithing and doing all those things with spiritualization, being saved, all the things that we are taught. Now, if she misses a Sunday, she's missed a lot of Sundays and other things because she understands, because of the proof that's been able to break the yoke. And that's the information that I'm providing, for current and old members. Which takes me to number 3. These are the 15 things that totally removes what I call the yoke of bondage of slavery that keeps you from flying higher. Because the only way for you to vibrate higher is to let go of the things that you're holding on to that prevents you from vibrating on a higher level. Those things are called beliefs. So if you don't have any beliefs, you have knowledge, knowing. So I don't have a belief. Because remember, if you believe something, that means you don't know it. So I don't believe that I had a mother and a father. I know my mother and I know my father. I don't believe that I had a father. I know I had a father. I seen him and I talked to him, and yeah, I left his house when I was 13, and you guys know. So I know. So I don't need no belief. I know. So what we're talking about now is knowing that allows you to let go of the beliefs that may or may not be benefiting you. So number 3 is a series that I did on the hidden story of Adam and Eve. Now you guys know you can Google that right now, hidden story of Adam and Eve, and it pulls up a CIA document. That CIA document was hidden from humanity for, I forgot how many years ago. It was recently released around a little bit after the time that I did that series. Remember, these series we're talking about, this is like old stuff that I did years ago that a lot of people don't have access to, or that had access to it, and for whatever reason, it didn't vibrate with you, lost it, for whatever. So now you can pick up all of these 15 keys. These are the 15 things that changed my life, that allowed me to move forward by releasing the chains of bondage that were prohibiting me from operating in what we've been talking about the last week, which, again, is the things that allow you to win. Everybody on this call, you need confidence. I'm talking about you need to walk into a room and you need to own it, but the confidence has to be in your solution. Your brain should be totally immersed in your desires fulfilled, but you can't, because your situation is more powerful than your solution. So how do you do it? Well, number 1, you exit time. You exit time by immersing your brain in your God-given design. That's the only way for you to get out of time. Number 2, you realize that the more spiritualized you are, the more spiritual lives you have. Number 3, you realize that we're in a 25,950-year loop, depending on who you talk to, which is the under-open understanding of this cataclysm that takes place on this planet because of what we're going to be breaking down a little bit later. So when you understand that the world is in this death cycle loop because predictive programming. So if the world doesn't evolve, and if there's a hive mind, it activates number 4. Now, when I did book 4, series 4, catons versus atoms, iron versus clay, the Bible talks about the iron and clay doesn't mix. That series I did long time before what's happening today, which is called artificial intelligence. In that series, I told you guys, it's called claytronics versus electronics. Iron and clay, meaning that they're combining. There are, and this is another series, there are, and there's proof, you can Google all of this, there are birds that are half birds and half machine. There is a robo-rat. You can Google robo-rat. There is a machine and a rat combined. They call it the robo-rat. They are already producing the homunculus. That's what I was looking for. You can Google that as well. In this series, catons versus atoms. So they are using a caton is a computerized atom. Now remember, when I did this particular series, probably about 5-6 years ago, way before what's known to the world today as artificial intelligence. And I told you guys this is going to happen. I put this inside of my book, the science and metaphysics of technocrats and technology, that the technology will be the new God. So these 15 keys help you understand where we are at and how for you to vibrate in a space above, as we talked about last night. We all want to live where? Above duality. That's what everybody on this call, hopefully you're already there. This is called the original unified field. So you want to operate from your vibrational center. You want to be in a space where you are above the polarity where everything is one. This is called a recipe for grandeur. You should have a recipe, a step-by-step formula, so that way you don't have delusions of grandeur. You have a recipe for grandeur, which simply means that you should be cooking wealth, health, wisdom, and great relationships. The way that you do that, let go of your beliefs. How you do that? Replace it with, number one, how to exit time. Number two, spiritualize is spiritualize. Number three, the hidden story of the Adam and Eve, the truth of what Adam and Eve represents. Number four, catons versus atoms, iron versus clay, claytronics versus electronics. You are claytronics. You are a biological computer. Man, this is like, I know this is hard for, well, let me just speak for myself. And this is hard because everything that I said, that I researched that was true, that I believed it was true, I just was hoping kind of sort of that it wasn't true. But it is true. And what is true? All life is chemical, meaning all chemicals are individual pounds that are put together to create a biochemical chain. If DNA is software, which it is, it means that DNA is life's programming language. That just simply means you are a biological computer. Now we have a electrical computer. We all used to be an electrical computer. And we went from becoming an algorithm to becoming self-aware and consciousness, just like the artificial intelligence that they're introducing now will one day be sentinel. That's difficult for us to understand because of book number 5 called Cardonomics. The reason that I wrote the book and set up a whole and coined the word Cardonomics, because the Greek word klero means clear. Nomics or nomics, N-O-M-I-C-S, means rules. The word Cardonomics, which means household management of the soul, by use of clear, it's called nuclear, nucleic, neutrinos. So these new trainers are bringing a new clear. It's in your nucleus of the cells. This is a cellular biological movement. So nomics means rules that allow you to see clear if you reverse the word. So book number 5, remember these are the 15 most profound mysteries out of the 300 books that I have. These 15 had the most impact on me getting clear to operate in a space where I'm totally disconnected from reality and I live in mentality. I acknowledge reality, I feel reality, and I understand reality. Reality is my impetus and my motivation. What does that mean? When I look at reality, it changes my mentality. Reality is my motivation because in reality, I have limits. In my dream world, I don't. In my dreams, I'm the vibrational equivalent of God. In my dreams, I don't age. I'm forever 31, let's say. Whatever your number. In my dreams, I have unlimited wealth. In my dreams, everything that Jesus did, I can do. In my dreams, I am the vibrational equivalent of source, meaning that I have access to the acoustic records, and any question that I have, I can meditate on it. I can ask myself, okay, what is the true, authentic, original name of source code? And myself, when I meditate on it, will give me an answer. I have access. It may not be inside of my awareness, but I have access to it. That's what clear rules means, patronomics. So now I understand the how to manage, because we're managers. We're not owners. We're here to manage. You're supposed to manage your mind, will, emotion, imagination, and your intelligence. You're supposed to be a good manager. That takes me to book number 6. Book number 6 of the 15 books that's included in this 2-day sale that normally sells for $1,500. On sale for the next 2 days for $150. 2 payments of $75. Is the Book of Brachus. Now, that name has been coming up more and more. I've told everybody that you will be hearing more about that word, Brachus. Just stick around and get your popcorn ready. Now, we know that basically when we talk about, Brachus, we're simply talking about the house of Brachus. Now, for example, if you were to Google this and look this up, you will see that the book in the series that I did on Brachus and the number of the what I call the light bearer or the light bringers, house of Brachus, that is on my website for $299. So just that book alone, if you purchased it separately, is the cost more than all 15 books that I have tonight for the next 2 days. So for $150, you can get access. For $299, $300, you can get the Book of Brachus. Now, the word of Brachus means power above all. It means first principle. It means first archetype. The word of Brachus is referred to 365 times. The word of Brachus, again, is similar to the word abracadabra, which means I create what I speak. Now, this word, and again, without going too far, is simply, just like the word abracadabra, the etymology has to do with how you and I are able to oscillate and vibrate in what is called the Av bin Ruach HaKadosh. That's a lot of words. It just simply means it's the God that has snakes for feet that was worshipped way back in Alexandria. Some say that is one of the names, depending on what culture you're looking at, that the God of this world is called. He, she, is it, or it is called Brachus, the blind God. Now, this series is very important to understand a lot of the ancient history that you and we're not privy to, because we don't really understand, especially in the West, some of the historical significance of these names. Because remember, when you name it, you lame it. You put it in the box. So Brachus really is a sequence of Greek letters that creates what is called an amulet, a charm or a gem that gives the person mystical or magical power. So it's the sequencing of the letters in the phrase Abrahas that gives it its power, so they say. And when used correctly, it gives you a specific level of gnosis or awareness. Now, all of this is explained in detail out of all of the series, because that Brachus is supposed to be one of the names of the God that most Christians worship. So most Christians have never even heard of the name Brachus that was found in the North Semitic Phoenician text. And then over the years, the name got modified to abracadabra. But the word Brachus is really a mystical, magical word that creates, because back in the day, you could move matter with your speech. It's crazy, right? But that's why they changed all language to English. And all of this is talked about inside of the book of Rackus to help you over and understand. Because there's a lot of Christians going around not understanding that in the West, they have something called and I always mess up the word, it's called a Chalcidian, spelled Chalcidian. I don't know how you pronounce that. But anywho, it's a specific alphabet that the Greek alphabet comes from. So even though we think we're saying something in Greek, it's a whole nother underlining frequency, wave of vibration. And we have no idea. We honestly think that we are, saying things. That's why all of the Greek, why do we got a Greek? Most people who look up stuff in the Bible, they look it up in Greek. At least when I go to blueletterbible.org, Bible Gateway, eSword, and I look up things in my Bible, especially in the King James Bible, the New Testament, it's always Greek words. Okay, where those Greek words come from. So this talks about it so that way, especially for the people who have difficulty over understanding Cretan, what I call it, Cretan, the Cretans, that's where the word Christian comes from. And we all know Titus 3 when it talks about the Cretans. That's why I don't call myself a Cretan. That's all in book number 6. Book number 7 is the true sons of God. And, man, sons as in S-U-N-S. We're all hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon that's animated by the vibrational frequency, wave of vibration of the ether or source. So as we talked about, and as I talk about on, excuse me, sorry about that, on almost, let me get some hydration. And again, you guys, I am out of town, so in a hotel room, so I can't go too hard in the paint. You guys usually, I'll be yelling and screaming by now. But, I'm trying to be considerate of my neighbors. Want to keep nobody up too late. So everybody knows that, or we all should know, that really we are a individual mathematical computation. Simply meaning that we are digital, biological, holographic, crystallized, melanized, divine frequency expression. So, in reverse, you are divine frequency that is dumbed down to fit into melanin that contains magnetite and calcite crystals that produces a holographic image that is controlled by a biological, digital now computation. That just simply means, in the Bible, that's called an incantation. In the Bible, that's called declare and decree. That's what it means in this book number 7, the true sons, S-U-N-E. Because we know Psalms 84 says, your God is a son, S-U-N. Under grand, you can prove me wrong. Psalms 84:11, God is a son, S-U-N, and a shield. So it breaks it down in book number 7. Book number 8 is teraphim, or terachim, as I say. Now, all of these books deal with what I call the basics of establishing singleness or oneness with source. This gets you out of duality so that way you can operate in spirituality. This word, let me see if I can find it here. Teraphim. T-E-R-A-P-H-I-M. So in this book, we talk about the ancient Semitic oracles That just simply means that inside of the Bible, the word teraphim is talking about a specific class of dismissed, I'm going to use the word vibrational frequencies, waves of vibrations, what we call fallen angels that are turned into household gods or idols. So in this book, we break down and we get into what in the Bible is called idolatry. But it's really called an Avodah Zahara in the ancient text. It's called AVODAH ZARAH. In English, it's teraphim. Teraphim. That's where we get the word teraphim. These are, I'm not going to say man-made, but this really means strange or wrong worship. So 90% of Christians are doing strange and wrong worship. Remember, these are the 15 things that got me out, not of religion, but of a frequency that kept me locked in a low vibration so I could not operate in what you and I would call confidence. Confidence means, as we talked about in the book, and hopefully everybody picked up a copy of the book that breaks down what we talked about tonight, so that way you can over and understand what we call confidence or over and understanding of how to operate in a frequency, wave, and vibration that allows you to act as if, because that's what confidence is. Confidence is the ability for you to be able to give thanks for something before you get it. So that means that you are able to act as, you're able to do as, so that way you can manifest as. So however you act, that's how you do. Whatever you do, that's how you manifest. That's confidence. So that gives you that ability to operate in confidence. Now remember, each one of these books by themselves on average of anywhere from $100 to $299. The series were around $1,000. And you get them all tonight for $150 or tomorrow. Now, what is the point? The point is these 15 things are the things that I went through and I thought, because I want to make sure that everybody on this call understands that right now the only thing that's separating you from oscillating and vibrating in your desire fulfilled, not physically but mentally, is something called reality. Reality is so powerful that you have visible proof that you are not wealthy, healthy, wise, and getting your toes curled. Meaning, like I was just talking with my daughter, and she's telling me visible proof. Like I just told I left the house talking to my younger brother who was living with me. Now he's moved out because he did what I'm telling you to do tonight. Ignore visible proof. What do you want? I just ask him. So I understand what they say. What do you say? I understand what the judge said. I understand what the popo said. So people tell me what the judge said. F the judge. F what man made. People talk to me about man-made laws and rules. I don't operate against those. All the way down here, and I was telling the wife when I was driving, and she was explaining, like, we have this talk every time we drive. Every time I drive, the whole trip down there, I was doing 95, maybe around 100 miles an hour. Now, the toll road has a speed limit of 85. So that's only 5 miles, maybe 10 miles above till I get into the inner center. And I've never gotten a ticket because of my disposition. So it's not about, like, being bad. It's not about breaking rules. It's about having confidence in your God-given ability to over and understand you have something called awareness, consciousness, perception. Again, what I have, most people don't have. I'm not special. I'm not any better or worse than anyone on this call. But these are the 15 mysteries that gives you total awareness, spiritual perception, and cosmic discernment. When I was driving down there doing 95 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, I set the speed thing on. Then when I got to the part of the town where the speed limit was 65, there was 3 cops at different points parked Each time before we got there, I pointed them out. Because I was driving up, I was at the bottom of a hill, like I tell you guys on every show. That's why I do this every time I drive. That's why I point this out to my wife every time, because this builds her faith. And it seems like she questions me every time. And every time we get her safely, and every time we get to our destinations with no accidents and no tickets. Because I set my intentions before I leave. I don't just hope and wish and ponder. I don't ask Jesus to do nothing. Why would I ask Jesus to do something for me that I can do for myself? I control the quantum field. You do the same thing through what is called observation. So I have the same thing that you have. People who have non-observation, it means they have no expectation. That means everything is a wave state. Anything can happen. You might get a ticket, you might not. Okay, I don't operate that. I don't operate in non-observation. I operate in observation. Observation means expectation. I set my expectation. If you have observation, observation determines association. Association determines manifestation. So I'm not associating with non-manifestation. These 15 keys, I'm explaining to you how I got to a space where I can operate in non-association with low vibration. I don't associate with poverty or people who are poor. I know a lot of people who are poor, but I don't associate vibrationally with people who are poor. Two different things. I could be there physically, but I'm not there mentally. I don't associate with people who are spiritualized. So I don't associate with very super spiritual people. Like all of these Jesus freaks, I don't associate with Jesus freaks. How come? Spiritualized is spiritualized. I read the hidden secret of the Adam and Eve story. I have the CIA document. I put it inside the series. And I just wrote a whole book on it before it was released to the public. That's book number 3. I did book number 4, Claytronics and Electronics. I told you guys before artificial intelligence was coming out, it was coming. I told you guys they're going to take a regular atom and they're going to create an electronic atom. It's called black goo. It's called programmable matter. I told y'all that shit was coming. That book is called Catch Arms. They're out right now. So what's coming is not here yet. There's going to be people walking around and look like flesh and blood humans. They're going to be what is called the robo-rat. The robo-rat, Google robo-rat. He already out. It's a real rat with computer parts. You can't make this shit up. Iron versus clay. But the iron and clay don't mix. But that don't stop the dominant culture. This is called Claytronics. Book number 5 is Cladonomics. Clear rules. You're supposed to operate according to these rules. I haven't met one Christian who knows the clear rules. They got man-made rules. That's why I put it in the book. Book number 6 is Abracus. Book number 7, True Sons of God. Book number 8, Teraphims. Book number 9, Speak to the Mountain. So, in book number 9, to me, it's so simple. What I do every day, what I'm encouraging everybody on this call to do every day, speak to your mountain. By speak to your mountain, what does that mean? Like it says in the Bible. If you say to the mountain, be thou removed, be cast into the sea, what does the mountain have to do? Well, according to the Bible, the mountain has to go. But your mountain will only leave if you speak to it. So what if you don't speak to your mountain? It doesn't move. So I break down, speaking to the mountain has nothing to do with the mountain because the mountain doesn't exist. So I break down the science and the metaphysics behind what everybody's doing wrong when it comes to dealing with problems. When people deal with the problem, they talk about the problem too long, too much. You're supposed to identify the mountain. Okay, where's the mountain? Okay, bam, that's it right there. Then what do? You take your eyes off the mountain. You put your mind, your eyes back on what? The solution. Excuse me. So in this book, I break down how I speak to my mountains and I get them to move. Because I remove them because I realize those mountains are only real if I collapse them from a wave state into a particle state. That requires my participation. We call participation observation. So guess what? I no longer observe my problems. Now, I didn't say that I ignore my problems. I say I don't observe my problems. I don't look at, ponder, mull over, worry, cry, complain. I only focus on my solutions. That's it. Because I realize with my real lives, these are real lives. The more spiritualized you are, the more spiritual lives you have. Which is book number 2. So book number 9 is teaches you how to go through the step-by-step process of speaking to your mountain, which takes me to book number 10. Book number 10 is the Bible is an encoded body. Now, I've said this I don't know how many times. The Bible is the body. The body is the Bible. So in book 10, we just reveal, explain, illuminate, and simplify the codes. These are what I call cheat codes, or light codes. Excuse me. Now again, a lot of this stuff we've talked about before. These are the 15 things that you have to really, really, really focus on, especially when you're manifesting. This all happens automatically. So every time I think about the Bible, everything in the Bible is about the body. Everything. There is not one thing that you could tell me that's in the Bible that you talk about the Red Sea. That's the brain. The Red Sea has nothing to do with what we think about. It's not physical Red Sea. It's about how the left hemisphere of the brain, the right hemisphere of the brain is ported by the cerebral spinal cord fluid or the corpus callosum, the Red Sea. Now, we could talk about everything in the Bible, as we talked about many times before spinal cord, cerebral spinal cord fluid. So everything in the Bible is pointing to something inside of the human body. Or everything in the human body is pointing to something inside of the Bible. So in that book, we just go through that, which takes us to book number 11. Book number 11, very dangerous book, because book number 11 is about what I call metamagic. Now, metamagic is what we call metaphysics, but metamagic really is what I call metacognition. Metacognition gets into the biophononics of the crystal light or the crystal language. It gets into the optical or the optic thalamus and the principles of the optics. It breaks down what I call DNA coding and the mental or verbal realization of your materialization. All of this is talked about inside of metamagic, or what I call metacognition. So metacognition is nothing but precognition. Now, precognition, remember that whole movie called Precognition? That's the ability for you to be able to notice something that's going to happen before it happens. So we call that discernment. So discernment is nothing but what I did today when I was driving. Every time I drive, I really, really get in what I call the zone. And when I'm driving, it's almost like everything slows down. When I drive at least 2 cars ahead. So what does that mean? That means that I'm looking through the back windshield of the car in front of me, to the car in front of it. And then the car in front of it, if that car that's 2 cars ahead of me brakes, I take my feet off the gas if I don't brake. That's precognition, metacognition. Everybody should do that. And if that brake light is on, I plan my exit. If all 3 cars slam on their brakes, which happened on the way up here today, all I did was went to the shoulder and went around. I didn't brake. Because I know the car behind me is too close to me that if I brake, I'm going to get rear-ended. The wife doesn't see the car behind me riding my bumper, but I do. Metacognition means you know shit other people don't. Everybody going to freak out. They don't know why you're doing it, but you do. It ain't your job to explain it to them, especially if you're the driver and they're not. It's the driver's job to drive, not the passenger. If the passenger want to drive, they can drive. Life is no different. It's your job to live your life. You ain't got to explain yourself to your boo-boo, to your aunt, to your uncle, to Uncle Buck, to Aunt Sue, or whoever. They're not living your life. You are. So you should have what I call metacognition. I live my entire life in a metacognition state. So in this book, I call it meta magic. So I'm a meta magician. Metacognition is awesome because metacognition gives you the ability to see the field. It's a higher level of consciousness and awareness and perception. When you establish metacognition, my brothers and sisters, then you operate on a level where there is no devil. Simply means you get to see the field. Now, when source code gives you that metacognition and you don't listen, you ignore it, okay, it's on you. So you can't get mad if source code gives you a download that says slow down, brake, change lanes, everything that I did, then what if I didn't do it? What if I saw everybody braking? The car in front of me wasn't braking, but the cars in front of him was braking, which I knew eventually the car had to brake. So if I didn't act before that car and either change lanes, so if it braked, I didn't rear in the guy, or if I didn't start braking, even though he wasn't braking, so that I can create more distance, if I just notice all the signs, which a lot of people do, and don't do nothing, okay, it's on me. My job is, and your job is to do what? Awareness, consciousness, discernment, which takes me to book number 12. Book number 12 is about what I call the 37 secret oracles. Now, this book is a crazy book from the perspective of it's all an allegory, just like the 369 is, and just like the 33 levels in masonry. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 is divided by 3. 37 is 3 plus 7. 3 plus 7 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. So the 37 secret oracles is really just one. And in this book, I break down this 37 that's broken down into 10, that's really broken down into 1. And when you over and understand this 1, Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is 1. When you are able to remove all of the trees and see the forest, then you can oscillate and vibrate in singularity. So the 37 secret oracles simply talks about these 37, I'm going to use the word oracles of God, that are broken down into one frequency wave of vibration. And this gets into a lot of the hidden, ancient, esoteric stuff that's talked about inside of the secret teachings of all ages, inside of Lemuria, that was picked up by your boy, not Alex McCauley, but I forgot the other guy's name. Anywho, so inside of this, it just breaks down this secret that's not a secret. That secret is, there's only one frequency. There's only one wave. So this tells you where I get my information from. Because people ask me all the time, well, you believe in singularity. And they think because everybody now is talking about singularity, they think that I'm just regurgitating what somebody else said. So this goes a little deeper, takes you down into through Atlantis and Lemuria into a higher dimensional living that was on the earth. I'm going to use the word way, way back in the day. Now, Atlantis and Lemuria supposedly are underground. Some people say the civilizations that the whole people, like in the movie in Wakanda, old boy with the wings on his feet, he came from underground. He had a whole kingdom underground. And he said that the people above the ground start messing stuff up, then the people under the ground have to come up and do what? Get shit back in order. So it's the same thing that's in all of the movies. Now remember, if they put it in the movies, why do you think they put it in the movie? They put it in the movie because it's probably happening in real life. So your job and my job is to understand that they put a lot of this stuff in the movies because it happening in real life. So your job and my job is to be able to decipher. Do you guys have to go as deep as I do? No. But it's good to know the basics. It's good to understand at least the basics. So that way you have an awareness, just like everybody else. That's what it's talking about inside of this book, the 37 oracles that are not really oracles, but they are oracles. These are, I'm going to use the word secret teachings, sayings that's been passed down from generation to generation. But again, all of this information is designed to do one thing for you. Whether you need all 15 books or whether you just need one, what it does is it gives you an awareness and an understanding that allows you to exercise the most important thing on earth, and that is discernment. This ability to be able to see the field, to be able to see what nobody else can see because you have what I call understanding. After the 37 secret oracles is book number 13, which is the 9 mind. That's the magic of 432. So 432, we know 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 plus 2 is 9. So this is the secret of 432. There's a big debate about 432 and 528 as for the relevancy of both frequencies. Both frequencies, really all frequencies, because there's 9 core frequencies that make a complete circle or a complete circle. So whether we're talking about the 432 or the 528, they're both the same because we know 8 and 2, 5 to 8, 8 and 2 is 10, 10 and 5 is 15, but 1 and 5 is 6. So we're getting back into the 3, 6, 9. But in this book, 432, we just get into understanding the secrets that establish what I call the hive mind or the high mind or Hygeia, which is a whole other series. You guys remember we did that? Hygeia. Hygeia is a Greek goddess of inward guidance. Bam, discernment. Hygeia. And we did that. That was like a 30-day series. You know what? I might throw that one in too. You know what? We'll put that in for the bonus. I'll add that series, which was a long series. That was 30, I think it was 30 days. Yep, 30 days when we did the series on Hygeia. Now remember, Hygeia is where we get the Greek word, the English word, hygiene. So hygiene is what we're talking about. Hygiene and hygiene. Hygiene, as H-I-G-H, genes, like inside of your body. But hygiene is brushing your teeth and wash your face. So we'll throw that one in. That would be the 16th series because that helps you to understand the 9 mind, which is 9 hertz, which is 432. So inside the book, we break down all the secrets behind operating in a very, very high vibrational state. We talk about that almost every day. Book number 14, The Mysteries of the 7 Vowels. Now, I talk about the 7 vowels all the time. We know that there are no vowels in the ancient text. The mystery behind the 7 vowels is the 7 vowels are what we call feminine energy, feminine wisdom. We all know that. So that feminine energy, feminine wisdom is inside of what we call vowels. If there are no vowels, A-E-I, sorry about that, guys. I'm sitting outside now. 'Cause the kids was in the bedroom. So, in the hotel room. So, these vowels allow you to operate and vibrate in a certain frequency, wave, and verb or vibration. So, in this book, we break down these 7 vowels or the mysteries, if you use that term mysteries, behind how these vowels oscillate and vibrate. It's called 7 vowels. Last but not least, book number 15 is the immovable race of perfect beings, the immovable race of humanity. So at the end of the day, Yahushua said that we don't know what we shall be, but we shall be like him. The end game, brothers and sisters, is what it's called, Dan Winter calls this phase conjugation. Now, book number 15 is heavy, real heavy, because it gets into phase conjugation, meaning you can only transcend this reality if you have love, meaning only memories of love allows you to establish divinity. Now, again, let's say you live your entire life and you never tap into perfect love that casts out all fear. When you transition, those memories don't carry over into the next frequency wave of vibration, the next life. That means you got to come back and try again. So in this book, we talk about the establishment of the permanent or the eternal, I'm going to use what human race, for lack of a better term. Now, that simply means whether you believe it or not, another study for another time. But Yahushua had a glorified body. So now the billion-dollar question is, how do you get one? Well, based upon the statistics, the Bible says faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these 3, love. Love is perfect. Love is kind. Love is this. Love is that. The love chapter, 1 Corinthians. But it says, love endureth all, and love never fails. So the only thing that is eternal is love. So the last book, in my opinion, is worth $150 for the day's special. And again, it's just today and tomorrow. So for the next 2 days, you can pick up all 15, and I throw in, again, the series, the audio series that I did on how to keep your genes high, Hygia, which is the name of a goddess of inward steering, what we call psychic ability or intuition or discernment. So we break down what that means. Well, in book number 15, the immovable race of perfect humanity, this is talking about the true destiny of mankind. So based upon some of the ancient texts, you keep coming back until you get it right, because the age, this is called metamorphosis. That's a whole other series. So source code knew that people lived back in the day 700, 800, 900 years old. By then, you was able to figure out, what I know, which is everything that you've been given is a vibration that keeps oscillating and vibrating, as what it talks about in Titus chapter 3. Verse 15, I think, where it talks about where the name Christian came from, a Cretan. So this book talks about how to become a part of this new race that Yahushua started. Because Yahushua, remember, he's the firstborn, after the order of Melchizedek. So he's the first of many. So a lot of people think Jesus is the only one. They don't know that there's a bunch of little Jesuses. Those people are me and you. we are supposed to do exactly what Jesus said we're supposed to do. When Jesus said it is finished, he said, I'm done, I'm out, I'm going to leave the comforter. Everybody has consciousness. Everybody has an awareness. Everybody has a soul. Everybody has a mind, a will, emotion, imagination, intellect. You ain't got to carry for it. You got it. Now, whether you use it or not, or whether you sell it or not, okay, that's another 30% of the time. But he left you with the comforter. Now, the comforter is supposed to lead you and guide you into all truth. That's why you have discernment. So you know right from wrong. You don't need no reverend, no doctor, or no bishop to tell you right from wrong. You know. You don't believe, you know. If you take something that don't belong to you, nobody got to tell you that that's stealing or that's wrong or you should not do that. Everybody on this call know. Now, you can justify it and say, I took it because. Okay? You're just justifying it, but that don't make it right. So when I used to steal, when I was a kid, I justified by telling myself, hey, I'm taking this because I'm hungry. That don't make it right, though. Because if it did, I wouldn't have felt the way that I felt. Now, why is it not right? Well, the Bible says you're supposed to do unto others as you have them do unto you. Remember, there's only one law. There's only one rule. When Jesus summed up the entire gospel, he said, love. That's that word again. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Then he said, okay, let me add a second one. The second is just like the first. Love your neighbor as yourself. So as you love yourself, that's how you love your neighbor. Now, we complicate all of this stuff by coming with a bunch of rules and regulations and don't do and jump high, jump low, blank, blank, blank. That's called religion. So religion is a bunch of rules and man-made this and another that they added to what Jesus said. Sum up the entire gospel. Love the Lord your God. That's the Lord your God. It didn't say the Lord my God. I'm not supposed to project my God onto you. Matthew 23 says that anybody that does that make you twofold more a candidate of hell than you were before. So we're not supposed to be, proselytizing, recruiting, converting. Yet everybody that's in Christendom does. That's how you are no longer a part of this immovable race. Because these 15 books put you on a higher level where you are operating in singularity with source. From that space, from that level of singularity with source, you have a frequency wave of vibration that allows you to see the field. When you see the field, bam, you're able to see what's real. That's how you become a part of the immovable race of perfect humanity. This immovable race of perfect humanity allows you to oscillate and vibrate on a level where there is no devil. On that level, my brothers and sisters, your whole life changes because, number one, you exit time. Number two, you realize that people that are very spiritual, they've accepted a bunch of lies. Number three, you see the truth about the hidden story of Adam and Eve. Number four, you realize that catoms has replaced atoms. Number five, you have clear rules called cladonomics. Number six, you understand that this whole world, like the Bible says, the whole world has been deceived. You see the God of this world, his name is Abracus. Number seven, you realize that you are a true son of God. Number eight, you realize that the teraphims, the low vibrational frequencies, rule this planet. Number nine, you're able to speak to the mountains and tell them you got to get up out of here, homie. Number 10, you understand that the Bible is the body and the body is the Bible. Number 11, you speak meta magic and you have metacognition. You have a cognitive. That's meta. That means before. That means you can see what's going to happen before it happens. Metacognition. Because you have tapped into the 37 secret oracles, which are the 10 secret oracles, which is the one secret oracle, which is you are an individual expression of God on earth. But it's a secret because nobody sees themselves as an individual expression of God on earth. Because if you did, that means that you could only feel what individual expressions of God on earth feels, which is what? Love. You could only operate in what? Faith. Because without faith, it's impossible. It's impossible. So without acting as if you are an individual expression of God, everything else you're trying to do is impossible. So everybody's doing a lot of stuff that you're not supposed to be doing. That's called spiritualized. So when you become very spiritualized, that just means that you accepted a bunch of lies that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. And that lowers your achievement. So that you're going to operate in number 13, the 9 mind, or the magic of 432. The magic of 432 is 4 plus 4, 3, 2. Hardworking, creative intuition. That's a 9 mind. 4 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 2 is 9. Which gives you and exposes the mysteries of the 7 vowels, which allows you to become a part of the immovable race of what you and I call humanity. These 15 books are available today and tomorrow for $150. And again, I'm sitting out in a group message, if you want to use that term. So, for example, one group, everybody that pays today, I just send out one with all of the books, so that way I don't have to send out so many different emails. And then tomorrow, everybody that pays tomorrow, I have to send out another email. So I am out of town, hotel room, so when I get the time, once you make the payment, and again, like always, just go to the website, masterteacher32.com, click on the link that says donation. Again, the cost for these books, all 15, and I'm throwing in the bonus, which is that 30-day series that we did on hygiene as number 16. All right, brothers and sisters, again, I love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Y'all already know what time it is. Make sure that you keep your confidence high. Make sure that you're oscillating and vibrating on a high level. And make sure, my brothers, and make sure, my sisters, that you have a proper self-image. These 15 books will help you to maintain that proper self-image. What is a proper self-image? A proper self-image is that you see yourself and that you believe yourself to be an individual expression of God on earth. God bless. See you guys mañana.